Good afternoon. On behalf of the Anaheim Ducks, welcome to the Girls Virtual College Fair Admissions and Financial Aid webinar. We are so excited that you're joining us today, and we have some great guest speakers who will provide important information regarding the college application process and financial aid. My name is Jamie Riedel. I am the Youth Hockey Coordinator with the Anaheim Ducks, and I will be moderating today's panel. Before we get started, there are a couple of items that I would like to note. You'll notice that all participants will be muted with their video disabled for the duration of the webinar. Today's webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be available on www.duckschool.com tonight. Links will also be sent to you following the webinar today. Please feel free to utilize the Q&A function throughout the webinar. This is located at the bottom of your screen. We do have approximately 15 minutes dedicated to a live Q&A following the panel, and we will try to address as many questions as we can at that time. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker today. We have Victor Sanchez here with us today. Victor Sanchez is a member of the amazing undergraduate admissions team at UCI. As a high school counselor, he advises students on the application process and requirements. He also reads and evaluates college applications. He's worked with both high school students and community college students who wish to attend UCI. He's been working with students and families for over 15 years, over 12 years while working in the student lending industry, and 3 years at UCI while working in undergraduate admissions. As a father of triplets in high school, he knows far too well some of the anxieties and challenges that students face with college applications. Today, he'll be sharing some college application tips, offer information on career paths versus majors, as well as some other information regarding the application process. Without further ado, welcome, Victor.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Victor Sanchez. I'm very, very excited to be here. We love the Anaheim Ducks, so this is really a true pleasure for us here at our wonderful university, the University of California, Irvine. So let me go ahead and share my screen now. So once again, we welcome the Anaheim Ducks, and we welcome students from California and throughout other states as well. This is applying for admissions to colleges and universities in general. So not necessarily UCI, and certainly not necessarily the UCs either. So in terms of applying to colleges and universities, it's important that students are familiar with the basics. So it's obviously very important. So the University of California has a 9 UC undergraduate campus. The admissions application does open every August 1st, but all applications need to be submitted by the end of November. So usually November 30th is the very last day. Definitely we encourage students to never wait for the very last day. Regardless of the college or university that you're applying to, definitely always try to be as proactive as possible. The UCs do have their own UC application for all 9 UC undergraduate campuses. So there's 9 UCs. There are also a second system of public universities in California. They're considered as a Cal States. So the Cal State universities have 23 campuses. They also have their own application for all 23 campuses. The applications do open in October, and they are due by December 4th. The third system of education in California is what we call the California Community College System. And every state as well has their own different public colleges as well, community colleges. So in California, we have 116, and the applications are due between January and April of that same year, this year that you're starting of that fall. Now, each community college or district or school district does have its own admissions application. And then lastly, but certainly not least, are the outstanding and excellent private nonprofit colleges. There are many excellent private nonprofit colleges, such as Chapman University, but there are over 122 campuses in California alone. Again, these are private nonprofit colleges. They do have a majority of students starting in the fall. Most of these private nonprofit colleges do have open enrollment throughout the year. So you can start at different either months or different quarters throughout the year. So definitely, as you're checking for admissions, requirements, and applications, if you're looking at private colleges, definitely make sure that you are up to date in terms of the admissions deadlines for the private colleges. And then in terms of the admission application, they actually go with what is known as the common application. So as you get ready to apply to many of the private colleges, you will know that a majority of these private schools do use the common application. So definitely something that you need to know. Now, there are 2 primary pathways for a traditional four-year college or university. The first traditional pathway is a pathway from high school up to college or university. Now, students do need to make sure that they meet the minimum requirements. Obviously, that's very important. You want to make sure that you know the GPA minimum requirements. So you want to keep that in mind. You also want to make sure that you know not just the GPA minimum requirements, but requirements in general. For example, the UC system and the CSU system in California, they have what they call A through G requirements. And for a lot of you students out there, you'll know that the A through G course requirements are what you call your college prep courses, right? So these are very important. So you want to make sure that you know these when applying to the Cal States and also the CSUs. And also some of the private colleges may be asking you for these as well. The second pathway, which is also very important, is that rather than to go from high school directly to the four-year university, is that many students opt to go from high school to the two-year community college and then transfer to a four-year university, four-year college. This is known as a transfer pathway. So again, there's 116 community colleges in California. There are certain transfer requirements that need to be met. So this is a path that you take. Definitely make sure that you are up to date in terms of what these requirements are. Also know what the GPA requirement is to transfer, should you used to transfer from a community college system up to a four-year university. And then also, again, just requirements are it's so important that you know the requirements and that you know the deadlines as well. And for those of you that are looking into the Cal States or the UCs in California, assist.org, at the very bottom, assist.org, is an amazing website. It holds all the articulation agreements for which courses articulate to either the Cal State schools or the UC schools. And the website again is assist.org. Now, also very important when you're looking at colleges, universities, is to know your major, right? So there's certain things that you need to know. First and foremost, the College Board, which we all know is a major nonprofit organization, and they do a lot of research in terms of higher education, is that they've come out and said that on average, the average college student changes their major 3 to 4 times before they graduate. And that's really nationwide, not just California, but nationwide. So definitely, when you come across this, it's important to know that you need to research the majors. What is a primary major? What is possibly an alternate major? Definitely know also your career path. Often I get students asking me about a career path. And so I say, well, let me ask you this, what majors are you looking into? Because it could be that more than one major can take you along that career path. Now, for example, if your career path is nursing, computer science, engineering, that's a very specific career path. So only nursing, only computer science, only engineering, it can take you along that career path, right? Because that's a very focused career path. But often enough, different majors can take you on a career path. So that's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. So if you're going to college here and your career path is here, you can say, well, that's where I want to be in 10 years. So deductively walk backwards and say what major or majors can possibly take me along that career path so that I can keep options open and be successful as I move forward, not only during college, but certainly after college. So always good to keep your major options open, and always good to keep your career paths open. And it's important that, again, that students do their research. Now, in terms of colleges and universities, the $64,000 question is, what do colleges and universities look for? Now, what does UCI look for? What do the UCs and Cal States? Well, many colleges and universities look for many different things. Within the UCs, we have what they call a comprehensive review process. It's a total of 14 different factors. It is a holistic review process. But nonetheless, when it comes down to it, colleges and universities in general look for students that are very well-rounded. Well, what does this mean? This means that they're looking for students that have the academics, they have the quantitative, right? But then they also look for students that have the qualitative. Does the student do community service? Has the student done research? What are the student's talents? Does the student have a leadership experience? College courses, all of that is important as well. And so in particular at UCI, what we do is we take everything about the student that's quantitative, We take everything about the student that's not quantitative, but is qualitative. And what we do is we take these two because we're looking for very well-rounded students. And this is our holistic review process. And again, many colleges, universities are going more towards a holistic process, but quantitative and qualitative factors are very important for students. So something to keep in mind as you're applying to colleges and universities. A few other things that colleges and universities look for besides academic achievement and awards, mission leadership, mission research, also activities not only within school, but also outside of school. Community service, maybe volunteer work with veteran organizations. In essence, what college universities look for is context. So as you're getting ready to work either on your personal insight questions, a year or 2 years down the line, or your college essays, always make sure that colleges are really, really looking to connecting with you. So make sure that you keep that in mind as you work on your college essays. It's very important. The geographic location is something that some of the colleges look for. They might offer you a point in terms of admissions, but generally speaking, that's usually not a factor, but some of the colleges do make it a factor. Also, you want to make sure, if possible, you want to make sure that you show proficiency in your major. So for example, if I want to study physics, at a college or university, I might want to take the AP physics exam, right? Or maybe do some research. So anything that you can do to show proficiency in your major is very important. Now, obviously, SATs, ACTs, APIB, and college coursework, these are also ways in which students can show proficiency as well. Now, if you're thinking about applying to the UCs, and we certainly would welcome the applications in general, a few things to know is that we have 9 UC undergraduate campuses. The UCs do differ in terms of academic programs and also in terms of size and location as well. So research is always very important to do. Now, as far as the minimum requirement for the UCs for California students, the GPA minimum requirement, this is only minimum to apply to the UCs and certainly to UCI, is 3.0 for California residents. For students that are outside the state of California, it's 3.4. Again, this is just the minimum required to apply to the UCs. B, you need to make sure that you complete your A through G course requirements. And so again, these are your college prep work courses. And then lastly, and importantly, and specifically for UCI, in terms of the SATs and ACTs, I know there's a lot of questions right now about these college exams. We will not be using the SAT or ACT for the comprehensive review, for the selection of admissions, nor for scholarships, right? So if you want to show proficiency or get college credit, you have the subject exams, you have AP scores, you have IB scores that may help you as well. But that's sort of where we are in terms of the SATs and ACTs. Real quickly, as far as UCI, we are an NCAA Division I school. We have 18 different sports, and one thing that's very unique about our campus is that we have 9 men's sports. We must also have 9 women's sports. It's the way we roll. It's something definitely at UCI. We have also a lot of intramural sports. So as college students, as you move forward into college in a few years, and as you start researching the different division schools and the different athletics, definitely keep in mind that intramural sports might be a very good option for you. So definitely something to keep in mind. Just to wrap things up, 5 important things to remember, 5 important tips. So first and foremost, be prepared and be proactive. I call this the 2 Ps when applying to college, right? Very, very important. Have all your information ready. Have your documents, have your unofficial transcripts ready, have your dates ready as well. Again, do your research. Now use only 1 email for all your college applications. Make sure it is not your high school email. Most high schools, in fact, over 90% of them, if not closer to 98% of them actually, or 100, they cancel your emails when you graduate from high school. So use a different email. I know it sounds very simplistic, but there's actually a lot of miscommunication because students use that particular email. So use 1 email for all your college applications. And then lastly, apply broadly. When you apply broadly, you're casting a wider net. You're applying to more colleges and universities. And then that way you can sit down with your parents afterwards and go over the different options based on the financial aid packages and based on what they offer you. So thank you very much. And thank you for having UCI. We are very, very excited. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victor. That was fantastic. I'm sure there are probably some questions at home. So as a reminder, if you do have any questions for Victor, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A right now, and we will address those following all of our presentations. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up our next speaker. We have Erika Gates here with us today. Erika Gates is a financial aid counselor at Chapman University, located in Orange. She has worked in financial aid for 9 years, and today she'll go over the financial aid application process as well as different forms of aid. So welcome, Erika.
Thank you, Jamie. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for attending this important session today. Okay, so Victor went over the application process of how you're going to be admitted into college. Now, once you're admitted, we might have an issue. We have to figure out how to pay for that college. So that's what we're going to go over today with financial aid. I'm going to speak for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we're going to figure out how we're going to pay for that college. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Financial aid. And again, my name is Erika. I'm from Chapman University. There's our lovely campus right there. Okay, so what is financial aid? Well, financial aid consists of funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. What does that mean? Well, financial aid is money. That's what it is. It is money for college. Okay, there's a few different types of financial aid. There is SelfHelp Aid, and that consists of loans that you'll be borrowing and eventually paying back. It could also be work study employment. So that would be if you want to work on campus. And then there's gift aid. Gift aid is the aid that we really, really, really like because that is a gift. You will never have to pay it back. And so that consists of scholarships and grants. Okay, where is all this financial aid coming from? Well, there's a few different sources of financial aid. There is the federal government, state government, colleges and universities, private sources. So that consists of outside scholarships. So these are scholarships that you apply for from just different private sources, different small businesses, organizations, local communities. As Victor had mentioned, when you're applying to colleges, cast a wide net. I would say use that same advice when you're applying for private scholarships, cast a wide net, apply for all of them. And you could also receive financial aid from your employer or your parent's employer. Okay, here's the exciting part. Let's get ready to FAFSA. There's Pete the Panther, our mascot at Chapman. He's really excited about the FAFSA. What is the FAFSA? It is the free application for federal student aid. Please pay attention to that first word, free. Do not ever, ever, ever pay money when you're applying for money. That just doesn't make sense, right? So there are a lot of scams out there. Please just make sure when you're applying for financial aid, you're not paying money. So this is the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. So the FAFSA will collect your demographic as well as financial information. It will use all of this information to calculate an expected family contribution, or EFC for short. And so the FAFSA will use all your info. It's going to do this calculation and you sort of get a score. So that's what the EFC is. It's sort of like your score on the FAFSA. The lower your score, the lower your expected family contribution is, most likely the more financial aid you'll be eligible for. So all the colleges that you apply for will use this EFC to offer your financial aid. And the FAFSA is available in English and Spanish. So the FAFSA really can be filled out anytime throughout the year. It is available right now. It became available October 1st. You can fill it out right now if you're planning to attend college for the 2021-2022 academic year. So if you're starting next fall, fill out that FAFSA right now. The deadlines really vary depending on what college you plan on attending. For Chapman, for California, the deadline is March 2nd, so just make sure you get your FAFSA submitted before March 2nd. So you got a few more months, but it really is available all year long. And make sure you do your research on what colleges you're applying to, because they might have different deadlines for your FAFSA. So on the FAFSA, it's going to ask for general student information. There's Pete the Panther again. So this will consist of questions like, what is your social security number? What's your citizenship status? What's your marital status? What's your selective service registration? So if you're born a male, you will need to register for selective service once you turn the age of 18. Okay, it will also ask for information from your parents. And so if you're a dependent student, it will ask for your parents' tax, income, and other financial information. It will always ask for the prior year. So what that means is if you're starting to attend college in fall 2021, it will ask for your parents' 2019 tax information, the prior year. So if you're not planning to attend college until fall 2022, it will ask for your 2020 tax information. It's always the prior year. And then it will also ask for your parents' current asset values as well as untaxed income. So once you're filling out the FAFSA, all your demographic and financial information, what happens next? Well, all that information that you're filling out online is going to be sent electronically to CPS, that's the Central Processing System, and then they're going to send that information to all the colleges that you listed on the FAFSA. So on the FAFSA, there is a section where it says, hey, what colleges are you applying to? What colleges do you want us to send your FAFSA to? And you can enter 10 different school codes. Let's say you're applying to more than 10 colleges, that's perfectly fine. You just click Save, Submit, okay, and then log back in and then add some more school codes on there, Save, Submit. So you can enter in as many as you like. So you might be thinking, oh, well, the FAFSA has all these questions. They're going to ask for my tax information, but I have special circumstances that aren't reflected on the FAFSA. You know, the FAFSA doesn't have a section where you can write in a note or a memo. Hey, by the way, I wasn't able to explain this. And so when these conditions exist, you can send a written explanation or documentation to your college's financial aid office. I think the easiest thing to do would be just look at the college that you plan on applying to, go to their financial aid website and see what their appeal process is. They should have it listed on their website. If you can't find it, just give them a call or email them. We're all here to answer your questions. A lot of people do have special circumstances, so we're here to guide you through that process. We at Chapman's financial aid office, we do have an appeal process. It's very similar to most colleges. You will submit an appeal form along with any supporting documentation. And so these appeals are sent to the financial aid offices. They're not sent to the U.S. Department of Education, just to let you know. Okay, here's an example, or here's a few examples, of special circumstances that we do take into consideration for additional financial aid. So this could look like parent or spouse death, unusual uncovered medical or dental expenses, if there's been a recent loss of employment, extraordinary dependent care, a divorce, secondary school tuition. So if you have younger siblings that are in private school, or if you're a student and you're not able to obtain your parents' information. These are all special circumstances that we see that we do take into consideration to increase financial aid. Okay, well, I know that this can be quite overwhelming the first time around. Even the second, third, fourth time around when you're a senior, you'll still have questions, but that's okay. There's a lot of great resources at your fingertips. Pete the Panther is really excited about this too. Well, there's a one-stop federal website, studentaid.gov. Please start there, always start there, studentaid.gov. That's where you're gonna fill out the FAFSA. That's where you're gonna complete your loan entrance counseling and master promissory notes if you do take out student loans. That's where you'll review your loan history and check out your repayment calculator so you can see what your loan payments will be after you graduate if you choose to take out loans. And then also, as I mentioned before, the financial aid websites. And so that's our website below, chapman.edu/finaid. That's Chapman's, but any college that you're applying to, just check for their financial aid website. They should have a lot of good information listed there. Here's a screenshot of what studentaid.gov. Again, this is your one-stop shop for financial aid. That's where you're going to fill out the FAFSA, studentaid.gov. And that's about it for financial aid. Here is my contact information. So if you have any financial aid questions you'd like to direct to me, or if you plan on going to Chapman, here's our phone number, here's our email address. I'm sorry we can't meet in person right now. We are currently working remotely. I'm at home right now. But hopefully as soon as it's legal, we will be back on campus. All right, well, thank you very much. And I'll pass it back to Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erika. A lot of really great information there. If you guys do have questions for Erika, make sure you drop them in the Q&A box right now. At this point, we are opening up the conversation to our live Q&A. So if you have any questions, utilize that feature. And again, if there are questions that we're not able to get to today, we will send a follow-up email addressing those questions with answers. Now, I did see a few questions come through. The first question is directed towards Erika. This person asked, what assets are considered for the FAFSA? For example, is an IRA or 401k or home equity considered?
That is a great question. And so when you're filling out the FAFSA, it will provide a helpful outline of what you do need to include. But no, you do not need to include your retirement, your 401k, or the value of the home that you live in. However, you will be required to include any stocks, bonds, annuities. If you have any other rental properties, the value of those properties, just not the home that you live in. And then also, if you have any 529 college savings accounts, those also need to be included. So those are in the parent section. That's a very common mistake. The students enter it in their section. That works against you. So I know it's in the students' names, but they are dependent. So make sure if you do have a college savings plan, a 529, just enter that in the parent investment value section. And if you have multiple children, you'll need to report each child's value of their account.
Awesome. Thank you so much for providing that insight. Hopefully that answers that question. The next question is directed towards Victor. I know a lot of schools do require letters of recommendation, and a lot of students are wondering who you recommend asking for those letters of recommendation. Wondering if you could provide some insight on that.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Jamie. Thank you, everyone. That's an excellent question. We get that question quite a bit from students. So in terms of the UCs do not take letters of recommendation, but certainly if your college university requires a letter of recommendation, definitely seek out your counselors, right? Seek out if you're involved with either the dean at your school or even with the principal at your school. That is an excellent place. If you happen to do a lot of community service, which is really good if you plan to go to college. If you're involved in your community, if you know, say, either the city council or the mayor or someone that you're involved with in terms of the nonprofit organization, for example, Veterans Nonprofit, that is certainly you can go to them directly and ask them for a lot of recommendations. So definitely many different options. The question is, where should I go? And so definitely, again, do your research, but you have definitely many different options out there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Victor. Now, the next question was previously submitted, and this one is directed towards Erika. This individual is wondering if COVID has had any implications on the financial aid process, and if so, what are those implications?
Yes, definitely. Well, unfortunately, due to COVID, there have been many families that have been affected with their employment. And so all of the families, all of the parents who have recently lost their jobs or have had a reduction of income, maybe they still have their job, but their salary's been decreased. Those are situations where they want to contact the financial aid office to submit a review or an appeal, so we can look that information over. So just to go over quickly what that process looks like, if a student contacted me today and said, you know, let's say my mom just was let go due to COVID, I would take that information and ask for her year-to-date pay stub, look at what she's made this year so far, and I would adjust their FAFSA for them. So it's not looking at her 2018 tax information, not her income when she was working full-time. We want to take that out of the equation so we can try and get them additional aid. Also, when it comes to COVID, there is the CARES Act funding. And so every college and university did receive federal funding from the CARES Act. And we've just been spending that on students. We just have been giving it to students. So it really, you know, it changes depending on what college you're attending. But any expenses that students have occurred due to working remotely, we've reimbursed them for that. That's how it's been working.
Awesome, thank you for answering that question. And the last question that we had was directed towards Victor along similar lines. I'm wondering if COVID has affected application deadlines and when students will receive their decisions. If you could handle that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, COVID has impacted, you know, many colleges, universities nationwide. I can only speak, obviously, you know, for UCI specifically. In terms of applications at UCI, COVID did not impact as far as our deadlines. So when you look at applying to the UCs, definitely make sure that you look at the deadlines. I can share with you, however, we did extend our application a few more extra days. So rather than November 30th, they were due December 4th, but that was for another reason. It was not necessarily for COVID. You know, so definitely some colleges, universities, however, may have different policies. So earlier I talked about the colleges that are private, they have open enrollment. So their deadlines may have changed because of COVID. So definitely stay on top of things and reach out and ask them if their deadlines have changed. That way that gives you a few more extra days. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Victor. At this point, it appears that all of our questions have been answered, but I'm sure both individuals on the call would be happy to answer any additional questions if you guys do have follow-ups. So please do not hesitate to reach out. And at this point, that concludes our admissions and financial aid webinar discussion. As a reminder, the webinar recording will be posted on www.duxgoal.com, and a link will be sent to you this evening. Additionally, please note that our virtual meet and greet sessions will begin tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Now, these sessions invite students and parents to meet coaches from our participating ACHA and NCAA schools. We encourage you to introduce yourselves to the coaches and ask any questions you may have about the hockey programs and schools. I know the coaches are very eager and excited to speak with you. That schedule for the meet and greet sessions will be sent out today following today's webinar. And finally, thank you to today's panelists. You guys were absolutely wonderful and provided some really amazing insight on the college application process and financial aid. So thank you for being here. And thank you to all of our participants for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, Jamie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.